Okay, good evening. We'd like to welcome you to the February 2025 meeting of the Templeton Community Preservation Committee. Before we get started, our admin, Jessica, would like to make an.
I just have to state that although Mr. Barnes and Ms. Burden were absent at the last meeting, they have reviewed a transcript, which was the TCTV video recording of the last meeting, and have submitted a Mullen Rule certification, and they are able to vote on any topics this evening that have been continued from the last meeting.
Thank you very much, and
Yeah.
thank you to both of you for filling that obligation. Okay, so the first item on the agenda is the meeting minutes from January 9th. We had two meetings that day. We had their annual needs analysis meeting, and we had a regular meeting. Everybody should have gotten a copy in the email of the minutes, but also have a hard copy here if you want to take another quick double check before we.
And you can choose to either make one motion for both of them, since you all were at both, or you can make two separate motions.
I'll make a motion to accept both meetings.
Second.
Okay, motion is made and seconded to accept the minutes from both meetings of January 9th. Any discussion? Questions or comments? Hearing none, we shall do a roll call vote, starting with Dennis.
Yes.
George?
Yes.
George?
Yes.
I vote yes.
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 And Joanne?
Yes.
Okay, it is unanimous.
Perfect.
Item 2, admin update.
Just want to update you that the annual town meeting will be held Wednesday, May 14th. In case you all want to write that date down. Wednesday, May 14th.
6 p.m.
I don't have a time, but that's a good educated guess. Also, the Baptist Common Cemetery project is complete. I spoke to the DPW director today. And he said funds can be returned to the buckets.
Great. And we've already,
Remaining
and
funds.
previously we had noticed that the cupola project was complete.
Do you want me to do that now?
We'll roll right into the finances and
Okay.
do it then.
All
Did you have any other update?
Nope, those are the two updates.
Okay, any questions or comments on that? We'll move to the finance update. Everybody has a copy of the up-to-date roster of projects, the allocated funds and the balances.
Yep.
As noted, both the let's see, the cupola project 0065, which has $8,000 remaining, and that's the accurate final tally. And the
Well, so look at your colored finance sheet. It should have all the breakdown of that project, and I believe.
okay,
So the
yeah,
black and white sheet is what comes out of Vadar that the accountant does, and then the colored sheet is what I keep up to date with regarding the breakdown of how the projects were spent. So if we go to cupola,
right. We had the town voted 30,000. We got it done by
So-
22, and so there's 8,000
I
remaining.
don't think we can close the cupola because we have to pay for the signs.
Oh, we've got the signs, but not the
So,
bill.
so keep
Yeah.
open cupola.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, but you can see that the Baptist Common Cemetery access, we've already heard last month that the final fencing was put up, and so Bob, the DPW director, has indicated that that project is complete. So we could, unless anybody else had any additional things that they knew needed to be done, we could vote to close that out, and the funds would be reverted back to proportional to from whence they came.
Baptist Common came out of open space.
Okay, so that will be entirely go back to the open space bucket. We would do that through a motion and a vote.
Make a motion that we take the balance of $8,000 and return it to the open space.
Just as a correction, this one is not ready to go. This one is ready to go.
$9,569.51.
There it is.
A second.
Okay, motion made and seconded to close out the Baptist Common Cemetery Access Project and return $9,569.51 to the open space reserve. Any discussion?
Yes.
Okay. Quick to Jill, ready to
All
vote?
right, he's ready.
Why am I mixed up stuff together? Okay, hearing no discussion, we'll do a roll call vote, starting with Dennis. George?
Yes.
George?
Yes.
I vote yes. Mike?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes,
Candace? Joanne?
yes,
Okay, thank you very much.
Very good.
So going back to our project list, running through this also helps us kind of update what's going on with current projects. Just so folks know and see that work has been done at the Boynton Library project. And there will be discussion by the trustees regarding a proposal to move that to the bid-ready documentation for the work to do the rehabilitation. That engineering work that has been billed was what provided a draft report that the library has a copy of. The next items you'll see are Stone Bridge. There's two projects that were voted. One was a special town meeting in November of 2019 and one in October of 2020. You can see that the total there is $83,337.21. Some monies were spent to do some engineering studies that gave us those reports, that gave us the scenarios as to what could be done. That was obviously a few years ago. Much has transpired within the town. There's been two special town meeting advisory votes by the floor with an indication that those who voted wanted to see the town keep it as an open road. And the select board or in the town had never discontinued that road. And so the question becomes, if in addition to that, an ad hoc committee was put together. I believe it's chaired by Mark Machete and others from the town to look at ways to reopen that bridge. And there is a rural bridge authority that has been approached and has given some preliminary approval to have a reduced scope standard that's allowed for rural bridges that are not to the same high level magnitude of a superhighway bridge. And so it appears, and this is still obviously early in the process, that there is a path forward that is realistic to reopen the bridge as a road. That's, obviously to follow. So the question becomes, what could we do in terms of what the town had voted for to do open space and recreation at, with the walking bridge, et cetera, et cetera. And it appears to me that it might be prudent for us to ask to discontinue those two projects. Now, when a project comes to completion and there's a few dollars left, but the project is complete, the custom of this town has been for us to close the accounts out once we have confirmed by the project holder that the project is complete.
Like we just did with Baptist Common.
Like we just did with the Baptist Common, and we will do with the cupola once we pay for the signs. However, since this project was really not, one of them was never started, the other one's a small amount of money, it's a significant amount of money. I think the prudent step would be for us to ask the voters whether they want to close these two accounts out. And so what that would require would be a town meeting vote to rescind these two projects and to revert the balance of the funds to decommit it, if you will, back to the sources, which were, we'll have the details of that in the warrant article. I believe it was a split between
Yep.
open space
Open
and
So the
unbudgeted reserve.
So
Correct.
the understanding when you came to the mic and on many of these votes and made it clear that this money that we had voted for, because you talked about it and said that it would go away, this wouldn't be to the people that were voting that night, that doesn't count.
What
Because
do you mean?
so when we took the vote on if we wanted to do like a walking bridge, it was made clear on the floor that we had this money to do a walking bridge, that if we chose not to and they did a road
Vehicular.
one,
Yep.
it was made clear that that money couldn't be used for that, though they took the vote anyway and it went the other, without the, so I didn't know if that counted.
Probably not specific.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it needs to really be specifically,
So we'll need to do a warrant, you mean?
yeah,
We should vote to do a warrant?
yeah.
So I make a motion that we do a warrant on these amounts.
Okay, so you're
Yeah.
making a motion that we authorize or request a town meeting article to rescind the two funded projects at Stonebridge and for the monies to be reverted back to their source funds.
Correct.
And that would be for the total of $83,337.21. Okay, is there a second to that?
Second.
Seconded by Mike. Any discussion on that?
Yeah,
Yes.
just a question, can the town come back and seek money toward building the bridge later on, or?
The bridge is not a CPA approved thing.
Oh, it isn't. Okay,
It's-
just, the walking path.
A walking bridge, a recreational bridge, for a trail is not a
Okay.
thoroughfare, on the road, so. It's ineligible for CPA funds. If it was created back to the historic stone bridge, then it could be considered that. However, that's not allowed because the gap is not as big as the state has said it needs to be for the flow.
Plus these specific articles, the verbiage that was accepted is to create a recreation area. So even so, you have to follow like the verbiage that was accepted, and it couldn't be at this point, this money transferred to go do. a
But
bridge.
if they were to revert it to a historic stone bridge, it would
could.
be another project. It
Right.
would be a whole nother project, but it's a moot issue because the hydrologic gap is not sufficient for the 100-year flood. So the engineers have said no, unless we can find a piece of granite that's like 40 feet across.
It's a granite place up in Leominster probably has 100-foot cross.
All right,
made of
and you
stone.
have to be the engineer on that project. So, that doesn't mean that we couldn't have another project down there once it's all figured out what's going on.
Right.
With the right of way, the roadway, we could do a boat launch, we could do other things within the thing, but not on the roadway.
Okay.
It'd be cleaner at that point if they did get this bridge
Just do
redone and
another
then
one.
a group wanted to come in and have that done for a specific recreational purpose, then it would be a cleaner application, a cleaner project.
Mhm.
Plus, this money's been sitting around for a very long time unused. It's gotta go somewhere.
Yeah,
And, we could. use
especially
money
since
for
we
the
have
project.
projects that could use it.
Yes.
That's right, so that would free up a pretty significant amount of money. As you can see, $10,000. Wait a second. I don't know why they have it, but looking that way, they show 0 allocated, 34,000 expended. So whatever it is, the motion is to rescind the projects and whatever funds are available,
Mhm.
revert back.
Yes.
Any other discussion? Okay. Joanne, you're good? We'll
Yes,
do a roll call vote then, starting with Dennis,
Yes.
George,
Yes.
yes, Mike,
Yes.
Carrie,
Yes.
Candace,
Yes.
Joanne?
yes,
Okay, so we will draft an article to go to the select board to be put on the town meeting so that everybody in town knows what's up with that.
You'll have to be prepared for beaucoup questions, I'm sure, because of basic misunderstanding about what you can do with the money and how to use it, and why can't we just apply it towards the construction? and so
Yeah, well,
forth.
Jessica will be there.
I got,
You already tell
I did
me
last
that.
time.
Yep.
Okay, so moving right along on the finance of projects list is our way to also review where our projects are. The MPZ, the two big projects that are coming up next, we did just have a small invoice, $16,000 for manhole drain pipe work. That will be paid. The drape restoration, we're still waiting for the final completion on that. There was one, they want to do some side curtains, so we haven't heard from
Brian
Brian.
said keep open.
on that yet.
Yep.
The tennis courts,
We haven't ordered the sign yet.
You're waiting on
still
sign.
talking
right?
about
Yeah,
the sign, so
signs.
that's getting close.
Yeah.
Grange Hall, you can see is zeroed out. We voted that one out, to close. Baptist Common, we just voted to close. Dwelly Farm, we've gotten reports back that they're in the process of engaging a new consulting firm to
Yep.
pull the weeds,
We
et
have
cetera.
2 bids, and apparently we need a new sign that was destroyed.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, jeez.
We're not sure if it was a plow. The
Yeah.
town indicated that they did not see it as a plow that had done it, but there was, but a car, but it's the sign was shattered.
Yeah.
And, it had 2 posts. One is still there, one is not, pile of sign. So that needs to be dealt with. We may even want to, and we had done it, it had been installed by the town at the setback that they
Yeah, we're
required.
talking about, since the original sign was 16, really only feel like we've got a balance of about 1,000 to use towards that, so it's gonna have to be smaller. It's gonna have to be placed differently so that we're not doing an annual sign replacement.
Yeah, and
Other side
so
of the stone wall.
we could put, use the existing post, do a smaller sign, we only have a one post thing
Mm-hmm.
or something, but that's TBD, and then we'll see what, we'll have to continue to talk with North County on that one. It's certainly, unless it was somebody from North County that hit it, which I don't think it was.
But we will be-
Okay, so thank you on that. Next item is Rehab Houghton Park. I guess we've gotten some news on that.
Yeah, Wednesday afternoon, we opened the bids. We had 8 bids. The lowest bid came out for the playground at $1,000. And Monday night at our Parks and Rec meeting, we'll go over it and vote on the awardment of it. I guess
How
that's
much
the word.
was it they asked for? 88,000?
88,000
Yeah.
was their bid.
It came,
I have a
it came, oh yeah, it came under, we had 9 bids, that was the lowest. So hopefully everything, all all the paperwork and everything goes well.
That's awesome.
And we just have a couple of questions for them. But yeah, it was exciting. 8 of them came in. We had one that came in last minute that literally walked in the door before 2, so it was exciting. So Graceland said, I asked her the question, so once they start the project, they'll have, she expects it to be done before the new fiscal year. And I asked her about the money, to get the money back, and she said we should see it probably at the end of August.
Good.
So we will get that $96,204 back sometime in the end of August, back to the CPC.
So this bid, were there any other items outside of this bid that would be remained, or was this this is?
There'll be a few other items that will come with it. I believe there's like a park bench or something like that, but, or anything, because Bob's guys will be, clearing it and stuff. So in case, right now, we don't think we need any fill or anything, but I'm sure that's part of it. Graceland has the whole,
Yeah, because
He's
you can
good.
see that, if you look at, there's 2 items in your, on
Yeah.
your, that 74,204 and 41,230. So that's like 115,000 plus, and here's a bid for 88. So there'll still be a balance of about 27,000 to wrap that project up after this is all said. and
Yeah.
done.
Yeah, she-
What is this previous line item, 41,230? That also says Houghton. Park.
Yeah, so there's 2 different Houghton Park ones because we took a certain amount, it's a 79% reimbursement, so we took 79% out of one of the sub accounts and 21 out of the other. So for the bookkeeping purposes, if it were all spent out, it would be reverting back to the unbudgeted reserve as opposed to the open space and recreation.
So this one is
Correct.
working hand in hand with that one
Yes.
down there.
So the
The-
summation of those
Yeah.
2.
The
It has to
41,
do with the grant, the Parkland grant. It has to do with the split and how much we get back. That's why it was, that's why they were put into 2 different
the
buckets.
41,000 is from open space and the 96,000 is from undesignated,
All
and
right,
that's
so
the
41,230
reimbursement.
is not part of the 96,204.
Correct.
It's separate from it.
In addition to,
Yes, in addition, yeah.
so the whole project is $137,000,
Yeah. Right.
$134.
Yeah.
Thereabouts.
But we're on schedule and, yeah,
Great.
That was
We're-
great,
we're-
Candace.
yeah, we're coming in under budget, so that's good.
Good.
Okay, and then the next item is the Grange Hall lift, which is getting close to the finish line.
Yep. He
Is
said
he-
keep open.
Yeah, there's $878 there. We've been over there. They're still waiting for the state inspector to come out.
Yep.
And of course, that's on the state inspector's schedule. So
Then the
hopefully
back, flip it over.
flip it over. You'll see that the next one is the engineering for the emergency management building. We have an allocation of 30. Okay, I'm sorry. Yep, skipped right over the church. No activity of that, although we've heard from the church that they are still on the schedule. We're still hoping to get a meeting with them. But that work wouldn't happen till spring anyway. We will maybe even ask them to come to this board in whenever, March or April. Okay. Sorry. I skipped over. Flipped over to the emergency management building. So Mike has indicated that the Spencer Sullivan Voight came out to do the site inspection, as they are the ones that are gonna be preparing the documentation that would be a bid package if it were to go out for the work. So they've got a balance of $2,300 to finish up their reporting. And then the final item you see there is the admin account, which includes, dues, Vadar access and payroll for admin. So that is, in a summary, our finances for projects and the discussion of the current projects. If you look at the buckets part of it, which is on your other sheet, any other questions or comments on the things we talked about?
Well, that's good.
Okay, so you can see the fund balances are at the top of the sheet. We still have these end balances of 67,000 in the housing bucket, 56,000 in the historic, 71 in open space, undesignated 436, and the admin account 15. Those are obviously truncated totals. There's a few more bucks in there. And that is, of course, important for us to consider as we go forward with any other articles, which is our main item of business tonight, is to discuss and vote on any articles for the annual town meeting. Okay, so we've already talked about the current projects. We get an update on emergency management. Mike was actually there when they did that inspective work. Any questions on finances or current projects?
Nope.
Nope.
Okay, so we're gonna go to the town meeting discussion. All right, the first,
I gave a summary of that if everybody wants to look at that to follow along.
yeah, so every year we do an annual appropriations article that kind of is our best estimate of what the revenues will be, and that kind of sets the guidelines for the amount of monies we will have in the coming fiscal year. The actual monies are the monies that are received. So last year we had estimated a larger match, than we estimated 78%. We ended up with a 60% match. So our estimate was too high. That doesn't really matter because the year rolls over. We didn't deficit spend anything. We didn't get as big of a match as we thought, and that was about a $30,000 shortfall, if I recall. So going forward, you can also go to the communitypreservation.org website and see where the collections are for the trust fund that is the source of the match. And they've only have it posted for November and December of 2024. They haven't posted January's yet. But if you look at that, you'll see they're down again another 8% from last year. So we got 60% last year. The revenue is already down 8%. I don't know what it will do by the end of the year. Like I said, it doesn't, what we're doing is by passing this article, any monies that we appropriate during this fiscal year, we can spend in this fiscal year. That's an allowed under the chapter for this law. And it also kind of gives us a guidance as to what our different bucket sizes will be and what our administrative account could be, which is up to 5% of our revenue. And fortunately, we still have a positive balance in each of the sub-accounts. But we need to figure out what the article would be for this year. So our deputy assessor, Mr. Graves, has estimated $275,000 would be the town's contribution. Last year, I believe the billed amount was like 286, and there was like 16,000 in abatements, so it was around 270 or so that the town billed out, and that is the figure upon which the match from the state is calculated. If we were to predict a 50% match, that would be $137,500 to give this to give a 50% match. Article would be a total of $412,500. A 60% match would put us at $440,000 total budget. That's the 275 plus 165. Clearly, that's the way things stand now. That's probably too high. if we did 52.7%, it would round out to 420,000. So realistically, I mean, the monies that we have are the monies that we receive. You know, this allocation is an appropriation, but if the money doesn't come in, we have no recourse to get it. You know, it's only comes in through taxes and through the match. You know, things change. I mean, the same is true for the town's budget. You know, they predict what they're gonna have, but how many, who knows how many new houses are gonna come, this, that, and the other thing. But we need to come up with the figure for the article. I would be, you know, I would be okay with the 50% match. Justice, did you want to opine on any of this, being the assessor?
Oh, I mean, right now, through you, Mr. Chair, all of the monies that come in through on the trust, just so that everyone is aware, a part of that is from the revenues of the registries of deeds. I don't know what the other registries are doing, but there's not a lot of activity on the Worcester registry side. I don't know what the state's seeing for collections going into the next few months. It could be safer to go, you know, what are you guys looking at? Did you say like 55%, 50?
We said 50.
Said 50. I mean, you could even go. I mean, 45, 50, whatever you think would be best. I mean, whatever the coalition is sort of projecting out for your match is what. But maybe 45 to 50 is probably the safer bet for that.
Yeah, and like we said, really it's a problem only if we came up with an estimate that's too high and then we commit it all and then we don't have it. Well, we still have a cushion based on past years and we've never approached up to it. But if we were to go to 45% match. And if you go to the website, you can go to the Department of Revenue, you can look at what every registry has done. It is a collective statewide thing. And clearly some places, you know, obviously Boston sells a lot more expensive real estate than they do here.
If our number is a little bit lower, that's better, right? If it comes in higher.
Well, whatever comes in is what it is. It's only what we can only spend up to this
Right,
amount.
yeah.
So,
Makes sense.
you know, if it comes in, if, you know, and we're not gonna do that anyway. So it's
Right.
almost like an exercise and, you know, but what this does is kind of also gives us an earmark for what would our administrative budget be. We haven't approached needing to use all that anyway. Dennis?
With the scary stuff that's going on with the federal government. And it's gonna, I can't help but feel it's gonna leave the state short on funding. And they're gonna wanna try to make that up in some place. So I think we need to try to be as conservative as we can this year with whatever we plan and whatever we spend. 45% would give us a little more room to, if we're lucky enough to get that.
Yeah, I mean, this is statutorily protected as to what they can use for the funds and what they allocate, but, you know, that is state money, but who knows what other shenanigans they could pull or laws they could change. So 45%, like I said, would be $123,750 for an anticipated match, and if we added that to the 275,000, if everybody pays their tax bill, it's just under 400,000, it'd be $398,750.
Is there a number that could be an even number?
So if we went up
that when you do your
to, if we
percentages,
made
it's
it,
not messy.
Go down to 40.
yeah, so if we did 125 divided by 275, if we did 45.45%, that would come out to an even 400,000.
Yeah.
And then it allocates the budget and you know,
Easier, yeah, like a straight number.
that's only another $1,200.
Yeah.
But then in keeping to the percentages that we would then break that 400 down into, correct? That would mean that if a project isn't historic resource or community housing, then we're just looking at 75% of that being available for open space or recreation. Is that the correct?
Plus what's
Line of
already in
thinking?
there rolls over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
plus what's
Yeah.
in there already.
Right,
So what
okay.
that would
Yeah.
mean is that what would be allocated would be 20,000 towards the admin, 40K to each of the three other main buckets. And that leaves 140, so 260 would be going into the unbudgeted reserve. Times 0.65, yeah, 260.
Okay.
you know,
What percentage was that, John? 445
That is-
point, what?
45.45. And we don't have to put it as we're just coming up with the number.
I get.
Yeah, so I think that's a reasonable thing. That's, you know, 15% lower than what we had before. We still don't want to vote projects up to the cap.
Yeah.
In my opinion,
Yeah,
we still have some balance available. What is the thinking on this?
Sounds fine with me.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
good with going with a more
Especially you have-
conservative number.
You have money that's going to be coming back in if we do put those 2 Stony Bridge amounts back in.
Right, and then eventually we'll get the reimbursement from the
Yeah.
Houghton Park grant, so
Yep.
there's another 83 plus 79,
Yep.
you know, so. Okay, so I would entertain a motion then to submit an article requesting an appropriation of $400,000 from the community preservation town receipts and state match allocated with the same standard formula, 5% to admin, which would be 20,000, 10% to historic, 40,000, 10% to community housing, 40,000, 10% to open space and recreation, 40,000, and the unbudgeted general reserve, 260,000.
So moved.
And do we have a
Second.
second? Move in second, any discussion?
Second.
Hmm?
Second.
Okay, hearing no discussion, we'll do a roll call vote. Dennis?
yes,
George?
Yes.
George?
yes.
I'll vote yes. Mike?
Yes.
Yes.
Carrie, yes.
Yes.
Candace? Joanne?
Yes.
Okay, that's unanimous. All right, that was the easy one. All right, so we also have 3 projects on the docket. And what we'll do is we'll go through, I'll just give the summary of each one and then we'll go back and before we do any votes, we'll have had a chance to discuss each one, so.
If I may, on the summary, on the little sheet, I did put the summaries of the projects, and you guys can feel free to talk about all of them at once. You know, fluidly, instead of like having to make a determination on one before moving on to the other.
Well,
I think we could do that anyway. I think we have to kind of vet it all out.
Yeah, we got.
Yeah, well, the way
Figure out what we're
The way
gonna
that
do.
John and I did the agenda, we wrote just all of them are under town meeting discussion, so just feel free to talk about all 3 of them.
well, the Parks and Rec ones that we have on here, Rachel's here. She has some, because we were asked to get some information for this meeting, so she came here for that purpose.
Okay, and if she doesn't want to stay for the whole thing, we can ask her to come up and share right now. That would be great.
Mhm.
And so we have 2 projects put forth by Parks and Rec. Thank you very much. With my fingers, I think.
Oh, you want me to hand them out?
It was handed at the last minute, a letter from a parent, a softball parent, so I printed it out. I don't think I printed out enough. I apologize.
That's
Uh,
I'm all.
me one.
You're on, Candace is all set. Mm.
I think-
So
Oh.
my name's Rachel Florian. I'm the admin for the Parks and Rec Commission. So this letter is from Vanessa Bedard. She's a parent and also the softball coordinator, and she has 2 daughters that play softball, and so she was just sending this about how we have the project in for the Gilman Waite softball fields for the fencing and the dugouts for fields 1 and 3. So she says, in regards to Gilman Waite softball fields, my name's Vanessa Bernard and I am the current softball coordinator and have been for the last 3 years. Over the last 3 years, I have worked very hard to build back up our softball program for the recreation department. Our teams have come such a long way and have really put in the work to be better. Our fields at Gilman Waite have most definitely seen better days. First and foremost, the fields very much need to be re-leveled, as well as the dugouts on field 1, as they always flood and rain. With proper drainage and the field being leveled, I think we could avoid this issue. Secondly, we are in desperate need of dugouts and benches. As I stated, field 1 needs to be re-leveled, but field 2 and 3 need new benches and could benefit with some form of coverage from weather elements such as rain and or the sun on a hot day. Lastly, the fences could be extended to protect fans and cars around the park. These are some of the major issues that have come up in recent years. With the school using these fields for varsity and middle school games as well, the fields are getting a lot of love. It would be very appreciated for you to consider fixing these issues. We are planning to hold the All-Star game for rec softball on Sunday, June 22nd, and would love to show off our fields. This should bring some softball tournaments to town and would be great for our concession stand and for the recreation department to earn some revenue. I want to thank you for your time, Vanessa Bernard.
Great, well, thanks, to Vanessa for submitting this. Clearly, frankly, I mean, would be voted in May and wouldn't be done by June 22nd, but, that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
In that regard. Um,
Some of a few things that she talked about, or some things that like the bench, the replacement benches, we're already starting to work on that in our department. On field 2, she did have field 1 and 2 a little mixed back up. And, the flooding in one of the, that would be field 2 would be the dugout that's flooding, and that one we'll be working in the spring on that. So that's not part of the project that we're presenting today, but she just wanted to say something about, the need for it. That is being used, and it's been a long time coming to fix the fencing down there and to add some dugouts to the situation.
Okay, and did you have any other information from the public regarding these?
The skate park, yes.
Yeah.
So, from hearing, like, watching the videos, there was some hesitant about trying to get the skate park at Houghton Park because, some thoughts were that it wouldn't be popular and no one would use it, and then that was a waste for the community money. So last Saturday, we had our rec basketball playoff games, and I had put a poll up, anyone could answer whether it was a child or a parent or a grandparent. And I just asked 2 questions. Do you skateboard or ride a bike or use a scooter? So those were all yeses. And then the second question asked if we got the money to build a skate park / bike park at Houghton Park, would you go or bring your kids there? And everyone answered yes. And then yesterday I put up a poll on Facebook, our Parks and Rec site. And I asked the same questions, and we had about 60 people, because it was just one day, that said yes, they would, and they would be excited and, can't wait if it did happen. And then through conversation, some people have mentioned that during the summer or on weekends at the Hubbardston skate park, they go and they see kids there all the time. So we think that based on past community, like listening to what the community wants, that having a skate park at Houghton Park would be a good way for kids to be outside and be safe with bikes and skateboards, and the community to be together, and a good way for the money to be used for the community.
Okay, so you had 60 hits on the Facebook poll, and how many were in the rec basketball?
I'd say about 70.
And they were all affirmative?
Well, there was that one little girl.
Yeah.
She didn't do it, but she said she was going to put no because she didn't do either. She was like 5 or 6 or something. She was cute. We did talk to we also engaged in the public, and as they were doing it and asking them questions, and we talked about how it came up in our last meeting how nobody lives in Ottawa River that has children, and they laughed.
I said,
Well,
I said there aren't large numbers of children living on a river.
well,
And I asked how many children live in Otter River.
and so anyway, they laughed, and they said there was quite a bit of children that lived in the area.
Quite a bit, is it?
No, I didn't ask
That's
them.
my question
I
was-
couldn't get from the town the
I mean, I'm
average.
a Bad guy here, but I asked if a study was done for what the usage of the park would be. If we're gonna invest $250,000, we should know how many people are gonna use that playground.
Well, this would be based on a match grant, this particular project.
On a what?
A match grant, this project,
But it's still, so we have to put the 250,000 up front or whatever the.
right, this would be the same, we are going, Graceland will be applying for the same grant we got for the other Houghton Park, part of the project. We estimate if we got the full match, that it would cost the town, about $81,000, and that the 100 and, or was 180, 190 would be what we would receive back, if we get the full grant. We are asking for this application to go through based on, the provision to say that we got the grant. If we don't get the grant, then we don't get to use the money for the project. We don't, we don't think it's,
Same verbiage.
yeah, same thing. Yeah, I talked to Graceland. Yeah, I talked to Graceland over this matter and about filling the application for it, and she said it's best for us this time around to have for the application that we have secure funding for the match grant, going forward for the application. She says that, the first time, we were very lucky based on the fact that, it was the first time ever doing it for our town, and they gave us a major wiggle room that you usually don't see. But this time forward, we would need to have money secured for this particular, the Parkland grant moving forward. So the park department, the commissioners feel like this is a good project. We feel like it's a good investment for the town, especially it would bring in the money back, a lot of the money back. So it wouldn't be a lot of out of pocket. The front end of this park will be the veterans. We also have the veterans working on that. We protect that one to be 2 or 3 years out because they have to raise the funds for the Vietnam Memorial. And Mr. Brio is working on making a 501c3 for memorials so that they can raise the funds for those memorials that will go in the front. So this park is designed in a way that we did the master plan so that when families come, they can respect the heroes in our town, in our country, and then play in the playground, which will be being done in the spring. And then have the ability to play ball and to skate in the skate park. We think that it would be a wonderful match. That way the families could talk about what's going on in the hero section as also having fun in the park. So that's what that's the
Sounds very
vision.
Nice, but you really haven't answered my question.
Yeah, I
So-
didn't, I couldn't get that data because that is not something that
The master plan didn't have anything about what potential usage would be, what the population would be served.
that wasn't a part of the scope that the CPC paid for.
Okay.
Dennis.
Mike isn't the only one that has some concerns about the skate park. And I think mine is based mainly on the skate park that we had at Templeton Center. It almost became more of a liability than a usable access for kids. They would come in and destroy some of the equipment. It seldom got used.
Where was that skate?
That wasn't really a.
Tennis court, but
It wasn't really, it was a makeshift skate park. It wasn't real equipment. It wasn't bolted down to anything. It was an old tennis court that locals in the neighborhood brought, and some dads and stuff built some stuff in there. Yeah, that park did get used. I did talk to children that went through basketball. I asked them about that one, the situation with that, and they said that they did use it. They said that they would be in school, so a lot of people wouldn't see them, but they did use it until they were basically told that they couldn't use it because they had started building it on without getting permission, so it got locked out at one point, and then they were able to use it. There was a whole thing about it and the safety of what was built there.
Wow.
That's why they were promised a different location. And we did not know this until after we had actually done this, that someone said that Houghton Park was supposed to be the designated area. That's why we seen some weird items in the park that we couldn't understand. Like there was this tar surface that's there, and we didn't understand what it was there because we don't have any history or notes of our recreational department. And we found out as we were ripping everything out and doing the master plan and going forward with this application, a few people in the town that work in different departments mentioned that I guess that was the plan at some point, that that's why they had poured that the asphalt in there to make it. They were trying to make another skate park in there, a makeshift one.
Okay, so we've got 3 articles that we're talking about. They're all related to recreation. We have a limited budget. one advantage to the Houghton Park one is that it would only be funded if there were a match grant. I guess we don't know for certain what that match would be. This last match was 79%. I imagine it's probably less than that now. We don't know whether that match grant program will be available next year.
Right.
We know funding statewide is overspent. So it may be the opportunity to go forward with this project and not pay the long dollar. Certainly understanding that there are questions as to from some of the board members regarding the use of the skate park. It's our job to look at this as to whether it's something that we want to let the people have access to decide at the town meeting. So it's our job just to be the gatekeeper. We have to be fiscally
And
prudent.
this project also has the rehab of the Ballfield section of that park as well. It's not just a skate park, it's both.
Well, one thing that might relieve some of the stress here. So with Phillipston voting not to help support the softball field at Narragansett, where does that leave us? We have been talking at the last meeting about an 80-20 match. They have voted not to put money into it. So where does that leave us? We put all of it in or none of it in? Is that the only two options left with that?
No, it's our it's our purview to determine what kind of monies we would put before the town. Now, the $280,000 project, if we were to split it with, if Phillipston were to pay 20%,
They're
that would
not
have
going
been,
to.
$224,000 for the town, for Templeton, but they voted no.
Yes.
They expressed some concern regarding, of course, they have a high demand on other projects as well, but how much benefit would be provided to Phillipston residents? I forwarded that to everybody, the response from them. I did follow up with the school to see, where things stood and where they could go. And understanding that, fiscal challenges face us all. And the questions that people will have. I mean, clearly they've got a need, just that would reduce the demand on the softball fields for the rec committee if they weren't there anymore.
That's not actually true.
Oh, it's not.
It's not. So we have a Babe Ruth League. It goes from 6 years old to 16 years old. And many of our players go into the middle school and high school teams. I asked because, space is limited. We have a couple of organizations that have interest too that are not our town and are nonprofits that want to use the field. So I asked him how Dr. Kesavant, what their goal was when it comes to the middle school end of the team. And he said that they would still be using Gilman Waite. This would be for the high school, maybe some practices. And then he talked about the busing. Well, we already know that they locked in a school budget for double the busing. So the busing for the athletics, it will not alleviate it because they've already had it in the contract for moving forward. So the busing for the athletics, the high school has already paid for that for the high school and all of it. For 3 years, we're locked into that for the athletics to be driven to Gilman Waite. To say that this project isn't going to increase any funding for the school property is not true because
Wait a minute, what are you saying?
the grounds, this does not have grass right now. So no one's been cutting the lawn. So that will be added hour man time on their budget for their building and grounds gentlemen or women that are cutting the lawn. This is going to put more
Nobody
to
is
their
saying
budget.
anything about the maintenance of the fields. What we're
Well, it
talking
is in the
about
it is in
well,
the application.
we are talking about.
And the busing is in the application too as well. But
You had
for the
added-
use of it, it'll take a long time for them to finish up that field. And we do not ask out of our budget anything from the school into their budget. So they don't pay us anything to use Gilman Waite. Granted, all the money is the town funds, but they don't use any of the money. So they play at Gilman Waite with no charge. So that's why I mentioned the maintenance of that property, the maintenance of our property and, all of our projects, will always stay, it will stay the same. We're still cutting the same lawns and stuff. But they will have a space, power. So this will affect the town budget if this project goes forward, because we're gonna be paying for a bus that's already going down there. And we're gonna be doing the grounds, a new section of grounds down there. I think this is a bad project? No. I think this is wonderful because again, we have girls in our Babe Ruth that will make the high school team. We're super excited that they want to put another softball field in because I am the president, because I'm the chair of Parks and Rec. I am the president of the Templeton Babe Ruth Softball League, believe it or not. And so we are for it. I just don't think that this is the project or the time for the town, who already owns 3 softball fields, to be investing in this at this current junction of how money is tight in the town.
Okay, well, let me get back to my discussion with, with the school. And so we hashed this out knowing that, you know, that we've got, you know, a lot on our docket here to discuss. And they are trying to move forward. They have a small amount of money to move it to the next step, to do moving some dirt around or whatever. But to put a field in and not do the full irrigation, they could live with $131,000 is what I was told. So the question could be, do we want to fund this to the full level? Do we want to fund it to a reduced level, or do we not want to fund it at all? That's what we're here to discuss. And that's just our opinion, whether we want to give it to the townspeople to vote on or not.
Do you want
Yeah.
to talk about like what money there is to spend? So all 3 projects would be coming out of open space and designated. So what money do you have to even work with?
So if we looked at the sum of what we have in the buckets for undesignated and for open space and what we're projecting for the current year,
Say that again?
I'm coming up with 807.
807, that's what I got.
Wow, I must be right.
So, and we sure as heck don't want to spend it. There's $500,000 and $7,000 between the undesignated fund balance in the current accounts and 71,000 in the open space. So you add that together, you get 507. And if you look at what we're projecting for next year of 260 plus 40 is 300,000. Now, I would certainly not advocate for spending anywhere near that amount of money. If you look at what's on the docket here, there's $670,000 requested. We're obviously talking about a matching fund, which would reduce that significantly on the skate park,
But not right away.
but not right away. And of course, we will have
Is
some
that,
money
is
come
that
back.
reducing the 280 down to 131?
No,
That's staying with their original amount?
that's staying with their original amount.
If we reduced it to 131,
Now we're at 251, 521 minus whatever's. If they're saying this is only gonna cost us 81,000 instead of 270, that would be like 200, that would be 331,000-ish. Dennis,
After reading the report that we got from Phelpston on their response, I think we should pass on the school investment in that field and concentrate on completing the Gilman Waite project and the Houghton Park project without this, well, the skateboard park, I guess it's still up in the air, but those are 2 projects for recreation that are going to be pretty expensive.
I don't know that we can separate out the skate park because that's not a line item in the thing. It's one price.
I don't want to, I think the skate park, if we do build it, it needs to be something that could be used for something else. Maybe pickleball or something in addition, because I don't think it's going to get used as much as we expect.
Pickleball on a skateboard.
A new sport.
New sport.
So what was, I'm confused now, but you had a statement about 131,000. Are you talking about the Narragansett reducing the price by taking out
irrigation,
irrigation?
as well as, and not fully completing some practice fields, but it would get the softball field for the girls.
Is that
Just
for
wouldn't
doing
keep
it
the
in
grass
stages?
Well, I think we should have learned our lesson up at Gilman Waite with no irrigation. If we put in a brand new softball field at the high school with no irrigation, 10 years from now, it's gonna be all weeds, dry and dead.
Buy a bunch of hoses.
Well, they have the, yeah, I mean, the rec has what, air guns or
We bought a water cannon.
We have a water cannon, yeah.
But originally they were gonna put in irrigation and.
You got voted, didn't get voted in.
Didn't get
Yeah.
voted in.
Because it's pricey.
You know, and I can't argue against that, yes.
May I, after reading the same email that you all read from Stuart, the thing that stood out to me the most regarding that specific thing was, what's the benefit to the whole community?
Yeah, me too.
That's a good point,
Isn't the school our community?
Yeah, but who, like,
but it's not.
if you're
open
homeschooling,
to
if you're
everyone.
homeschooled, like, or how does it benefit everybody?
All students.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're talking about the,
Not-
but CPC projects are supposed to be open to the general public.
Right,
Set high school.
Yeah.
well, I'm just saying that
We're gonna start picking nits.
Yeah.
Well, that's what they said in the, no, it's just what they said in the email to Phillipston. That's how they said it.
Other
That used to be.
Point
Oh,
that-
their reason for not
Something
voting.
Yeah.
would be.
Well,
Right,
but
and
keep in
so-
mind too, the physical distance from Phillipston and Narragansett High School.
right,
They're saying it's not in their town, which is true, and it's a long ways away from their town, which is true. So I
and then he
mean,
also, he was talking about, does it benefit people outside of the
outside of
school?
School.
Right, so I'm.
Outside of the
just saying
school
that's the one
teams.
thing that like stood out for me, like, how does it, you know, benefit the seniors, or like, you know, the homeschool, or like, does.
Well, but
can
you're not,
everybody-
I mean.
I don't-
If you don't play pickleball, the pickleball court doesn't mean diddly squat.
Well, if
But
you
it's
look at the
open.
baseball field, if you look at the baseball field at the school, I know that they don't have, and as far as I know, I've never seen any other I don't see that the local, Babe Ruth and Cal Ripken uses. Yeah, but that's what the letter he's trying to say in the Phillipston one was, that it wouldn't be open to the public in general to use it, as readily available.
And the parks.
Whereas
regardless
Gilman
if
Waite
it's
is.
Where Gilman or whatever, are they?
Yeah,
on
they're,
dusk?
huh,
Yep.
yes, and anybody,
all-
like, yeah, the neighborhood
Oh,
kids
like
come and
that.
play kickball. Families come and have picnics, and they'll have like a game of, like, they'll do like a family reunion, do kickballs and stuff on the weekends. So they're used by everybody. We book them, when we have games for the schools, for Babe Ruth, and we have this new organization that's interested in some, practice time too. But we
Well,
have
one thing
that,
We could do is, because we have the, you know, we could put in the grant award agreement to the school district, if it's voted, that they would need to set aside specific times where the general public could have access. You know, obviously their scheduling will drive the boat, just like it seems to somewhat at Gilman as well. I mean, schools are there for a reason, for the students. But that doesn't say you can't have other use. Do we have, I just keep seeing things. Hannah, are there any comments or questions that we need to address, or? What are all
There are
those?
no comments at this time.
Okay, I see a little yellow thing. Can't read.
Angry faces.
self-destructive, that's exactly.
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion that we pass over the softball field.
Well, there's two applications for softball field, so. can you-
You're talking about the Narragansett.
Narragansett,
Oh.
yes, the Narragansett,
Even at the reduced amount.
even the reduced amount at this point.
Dennis Mc-
I mean, to be logical, I guess, I feel like it's either all or nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, certainly, you know, the point about the irrigation is key. They never should have passed it up to Gilman without it. But that's what we did, as a town, and so the reduced, you know, all or nothing seems, you know, appropriate, but, Dennis is proposing nothing.
Yeah, also, the irrigation, they can come to town meeting with a warrant article requesting funds for that.
I don't believe the school is gonna be requesting additional
Yeah.
funds, no. This will be on their budget. So a motion has been made to abandon the Narragansett School Fields project. Is there a second? Okay, at this time, there's not a second. Let's continue the discussion. Let's go back to the Gilman Waite softball fields. So that's $120,000. And that provides the dugouts, the fencing, and does redoes the dirt.
I make a motion that we move forward the application for the Parks and Rec Gilman Waite softball fields rehab project.
Second.
Okay, a motion has been made and seconded to move forward, and are you moving forward at that dollar figure?
That's all I know.
Second that motion.
Yeah, as did George. So motion made and seconded. Further discussion on this this project for Gilman Waite softball fields? Hearing none, I guess,
You have to determine what the breakdown would be right now, or is that a later thing?
in terms of the sourcing.
Yeah.
We don't have to, we can vote that, or we could, well, we could look at it right now. We have 71,000 in the open space, so once we use that, it's onto the undesignated fund balance.
We have no request for open space money right now, right?
That is correct, not at this town meeting. You wanna, let's see, so the other question will be, yeah, with the match grant one, yeah, we can all take it all out of the undesignated fund balance if that were to be funded. Likewise, if Narragansett rises. So what we could say is $70,000 coming from the open space reserve and 50,000 from the unbudgeted reserve. Would that be appropriate, Carrie, to your motion?
Yes, that would be an appropriate addition to my motion.
Okay, rather than splitting nickels. So a motion has been made. Is that still seconded for
Yes.
$70,000 from the open space reserve and 50,000 from the unbudgeted reserve for the Parks and Rec Gilman Waite Field project? Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote, starting with Dennis.
Yes.
Yes.
George? George? I vote no. Mike?
Yes.
Carrie?
Yes.
And Joanne?
Yes.
Okay. It passes. So that leaves us with the Parks and Rec. Now, it could be modified to exclude the skate park, but we don't know what the unit cost is for that. Unless it's,
We do have it in the packet. Do we still have it in the packet, Rachel? What the breakdown is? I don't remember.
I've sent several solar.
Yeah, I know. We sent several versions of this.
who brought their packet?
I'm trying to remember. We had one, it was just the skate park. It was, they were individually done.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to remember what the breakdown was. I know that the equipment was 50,000. I remember that. And what did we want to, I want to believe,
I had one question about the skate park. I know the skate park in Templeton Center, because my boys all went there when they were younger and they've been using it. A lot of the neighbors, a lot of the houses adjacent to that area. Kind of go along with what Dennis had said, was that they weren't really happy with it. Because of the noise, the language, the actions of the kids who were over there. So there was some pushback from the residents of the area. Did anybody poll the residents of the area whether they had a problem with the skate park?
I just, like I said, did the 2 polls last
No, I mean,
weekend.
did anybody go and talk to the people who live
No,
on the, where it's gonna be?
so my estimation would be about the same as, it would be the $120,000, the same as the other one. To just do the other ball field in there, because the ball fields we're doing, this would be dugouts, the fencing. This also has a back fence that the other ones don't have. Based on what I remember from the project, it was, I know for a fact it was $50,000 for the equipment that goes on it, and then it was a pad that's the size of a basketball court, and I believe the pad was like was it 100? I believe it was $100,000. So I think it was 100, yeah, I believe it was 150. So I would say that the ball field is 120,000.
Great.
Yeah. Because we were gonna do some of it in-house.
Do you have a feeling if we were to say that we did not want to put the skate park into this package, would it affect your bid process? The
No,
grant
she'll
process?
do the application based on whatever it is. I mean, we have a whole park, so we can go, if they have grants later in a later date, we could go for the skate park at a later time and try, and if that's not that grant, we could find a skate park grant if that was the case, at a later date. So it wouldn't be, an all for nothing thing. It's just, but she should be able to get we should be able to get a match grant for the ball field.
My question for you about this grant, let's say we decided to just go for the ball field at Houghton Park as well. Couldn't she apply for a grant for ball fields in Templeton and just ask for money for both of them?
No, they would be, the project, she has to put the schematics for that particular park, so,
Well, she could put schematics from both.
yeah, she could, we can ask her to try. I mean, it's not that we can't try. And if we get them, and Grayson's not here to ask, if she can do 2 different parks, but I mean, I don't know if the, Parkland, she'd have to talk to the
Right,
Parkland grant
obviously it
people.
depends upon the.
Right.
But we
I
just
wouldn't-
wanna
yeah.
consider it.
We already voted for that,
So
but
the,
this one I would do into contingency if we get the grant.
No, we gotta do it tonight. Gotta vote it tonight, but whether.
But I would do this one on the if you want to just do the ball field on this and you want to separate it from the skate park, then I would do it again on a vote of contingency for the grant, as part of the vote, and, I would recommend, I didn't leave anything for signage, so maybe going a little bit up than 120, because I'm thinking maybe
So I just want to make sure. I
signage
understand.
is
So
put in
the
the skate park.
playground money is already been voted on and you already have, that's working already.
So I got a bid we got not 8 bids on it on Wednesday.
Yes.
Right,
That's
so-
all.
yes.
So the playground's approved.
So approved.
Veterans Park is not of our doing, that's gonna be.
They're working,
It's good.
we're working on
They're
progress,
doing
yeah.
the monuments, but we could do walkways and.
Yeah,
parks.
stuff like
So
that.
would have to be
Yeah.
a future
Not
date.
about-
They would-
Right, that's a future date thing. They're
So
thinking
that's-
about 3 years down the line.
So that's the
Sorry.
Veterans Park and the playground. So all we're really working on is skate park and baseball field.
Correct. The back end of it.
Okay, so looking at a modified article that seeks just to do the ball field would be you're saying perhaps we should consider that to be 125,000
Yeah, I think that would, what do you think, Rachel?
more because
Yeah,
it is a
yeah,
grant-based
Rachel.
thing.
Rachel worked on the application. So she's saying yes.
What's your thinking?
125.
I mean, if we're having so much consternation here as a board on the skateboard idea, can you imagine at annual meeting where the majority of people at the annual meeting are not going to be necessarily younger, they might be older since they're the more.
I am not against the skate park, believe me, but I think we should involve the community, the people who live there, the houses that border on that park. Need to be asked what they feel about it.
All right, well,
Okay, let's let George say
I
something.
lived all through the skate park.
Yes.
When it was there. I didn't see a lot of problems with any of the kids that regularly used the skate park. They had vandalism there. They had a lot of vandalism on the basketball courts. And they had some people who came into the skate park sometimes and raised hell, but basically most of the kids that used it were just there to try and do their skills, you know,
The
it's really
tricks, yes.
actually a good thing. And I used to go up and watch them, talk to them. You know, and I would favor a skate park, but if it makes more sense to do the ballpark right now and then get that going and then get the skate park more, you know, better defined, that'd be good, but I don't have anything against the skate parks.
Well, the skate park culture has changed over the decades. It's because people have gotten older, so now they're taking their babies. They're 5, they're 6, and they're doing camps and stuff at in Fitchburg. They have camps and they're doing clinics and stuff, teaching, you know, so we see a lot, and there's a lot of 40-year-olds that are going out there practicing their tricks still. And that's what my son Hunter, he's a commissioner on the board, and he was gonna come tonight, but he had a long day at work, and he said, he goes, any given time, he goes, you'll catch a 40-year-old out there doing some tricks on a skate park. You know, he goes, it's still, they're using them, they're doing them, and they're all different generations from all the way up. They're bringing their families, having picnics and doing skate parks. On the skate park doing their stuff, so
One of our,
that's what I know about it. I'm not a skater, so I don't know. I just see what I see, you know, when I hear what I hear.
one of our photographers at the Telegram and Gazette used to go skateboarding with his kids at skate parks. You know, he was probably in his 40s, but you know, he was really into it too. So there are adults that like that too. You know, I would never do it. It's too dangerous, but.
Yeah.
Okay, looking back at the information that you got, Rachel, I mean, originally they had said $400,000 for a skate park.
Yeah,
That's if you do the cement, like in the bowl, like, this is,
Like if you have to dig out earth.
yeah, so we're not doing that. We went on the lower end, which is you can build on and add on. And so you do a concrete pad and then they have these, the different, you know, ramps and everything that they actually bolt into the cement pad. And they
Okay,
said you
instead of a
can also
big
add
bowl.
on down the road, yeah.
And so what size pad were you proposing?
The smallest one, which is about the size of a basketball court. I think it was like 80 by 40, I think.
You think that's enough for the number of kids that you're gonna be having there?
Well, that's the size that would fit there with the baseball field and the park and everything.
Oh, I see, okay.
Based on the master plan.
the skate park took the place of a basketball court when we were designing it. Because members of the community had said we already have a basketball court in the other park and they wanted something different. You know, that's where that came from.
I mean, we could even talk about putting a pad out there and then dealing with, you know, adding equipment later, or we, you know, so right now we've got a lot we've got a request for 270,000 that includes the ball field and the skate park. We've had some discussion about how we could take the skate park out. We've also had discussion about the value of the skate park. Where do we want to go? Dennis?
I make a motion that we go without the skate park, just concentrate on the ball field,
Okay, for 125,000,
125,000. Oh, was it 125?
Yep,
but with
Okay, yeah,
additional
you're
contingency and signage, et cetera.
Right.
Contingent upon receiving.
Match grant,
That
yeah.
would be contingent upon getting the match grant, and then we would still ask for the grant for both projects, but this 120,000 is not dependent upon it being awarded at
Correct.
present, if it
Yeah.
passes at town meeting.
Bite
Correct.
half the apple and better than none at all.
Okay, so Dennis is making a motion for just the ball field at 125,000. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, how about some discussion? Is there reluctance here? If there's not.
I'll volunteer to do work with the rec department, to go to house and talk to the people who live adjacent to that area and ask them what their feelings are about the skate park. If the homeowners in that area are in favor of it or are open to it, then I'll be all for it. Just don't.
Well, the question is tonight, we're making the decision on what we're
Yep.
gonna propose.
No,
So that Grace
feel
can
that.
go
I'm just
for a
throwing it
grant.
out there.
Okay.
Talking about a future time.
Yeah, future time, you know, this summer, if you wanna do a door to door, I'm with you. All right.
One question will be that if we put the whole field in there and then we bring graves down there and they dig it all up because they're bringing concrete now 3 years from now. I mean, it's a tight. I mean, you practically have,
Yeah,
you know,
it's the existing fence, it's a property line right there.
yeah, that's another issue.
What's that's it, but there's 3 houses, bang, bang, boom, the backyard is a skate park. I don't know if I'd be too happy about that. You can ask the question.
Okay, so we got a motion made and seconded to go forward with the 125,000 for the ball field at Houghton Park, provided a matching grant is received. Any other discussion? Okay, yes,
Where would it come from?
that would come from the undesignated reserve.
Which we have what it says there, which is what, 436 minus the 50?
Yeah. So 386.
Yes.
I was.
Yeah.
Yes, George. A, yes, George B, yes, I'll vote yes, Mike,
Yes.
yeah, Carrie,
Yes.
Candace.
Yes,
And Joanne?
Yes,
Okay, so that one will have the language requiring the matching grant. Which brings us back to the Narragansett ball fields. Dennis had made a motion to bypass it. It had not been seconded. Where do we want to go from here on that?
So we don't have any representatives at school here tonight, and the information that you have was given to you verbally or in
Yes.
writing or by a person of authority?
Not somebody who has yes.
Okay.
I talked to Rick Moulton at a privately, a one-on-one meeting.
Yep.
And he indicated that, they want to go forward with the project, and he figured that they could get the ball field in without irrigation for the 131,000.
And where would that put it? Would that make us tighter on money? It doesn't seem like it would.
It would not, we still have a balance of about 380 minus 120. Where are we? 380 minus 125 is 255. In that undesignated fund balance, if these were all to be voted at town meeting. I mean, we are just enabling that vote to happen
Yes.
if we
Yep.
pass it. It'd
Right.
still be up to the people.
I think it's a good idea. And if the school decides that
Yeah.
the field isn't working without irrigation, they're gonna have. to-
Or they can add the irrigation at a later
they can
date.
Find money for it later.
Well, this will also give us a chance to revisit the whole thing again next year for the continuation, finishing up the project, but it will allow them to do work in the coming year. Would you make that as a motion?
I make a motion that we appropriate $131,000 to the Narragansett Regional Softball Field Project. Monies to come from undesignated.
Is it for the drainage?
That is for the
Without the
preparation and establishment of the girls softball field in
With
without.
all the softball field and a practice field without
No drainage.
Well, drainage is already being dealt with, but no irrigation.
no irrigation. You'd have to add that at a later date. But much like we held off on the skate park, that could be added at a later date. We hold off, we go with a lesser amount than do the project without irrigation, which could be added at a later date.
And would there be caveat language saying that it has to be open and available when
That would be.
possible for the public? Would we add that language?
If you go down there on a Saturday and there's no games going on and you bring your son down to play catch on the field, nobody's gonna run you out of there.
Mhm.
I mean.
Right, and there's homeschoolers that are using fields up there. There's a
Yep.
group of homeschoolers that use it that are outside of the school, and, if we need a
So
formal
it's
language.
unspoken caveat already.
But we could certainly put it in there that
I
at
think we
least
should.
one day, that it needs to be available as long as there's no.
No
conflict.
scheduled conflict.
conflict,
You know,
yeah, no schedule.
Story issues and things like that about school, so it could not be during school hours.
Right.
Yeah, or it could be the issue to be raised at town meeting with the school officials as part of deciding whether to give the money. And they'd, rather than tying them down to an agreement at the last minute on it.
I think that's a good point to make it available.
Yeah, and really, this is gonna have to be vetted by a school committee. I mean, they're the responsible for the school, but,
I think it should have the word, it just says that, when, it's not scheduled for the school, that the public can use
the
it.
mechanism shall be
I
made
think it's- yeah.
available by which townspeople can have access the field at the discretion
Yeah.
of the school.
I think it's a good protection since CPC fund has that drive that says it has to be to the public. Only because the way I mean, I always try to put projects
Needs a
in.
beneficial use for the community, and the argument could be made that the students of this community are representative of the whole. So,
Well, shouldn't the, the school be able to weigh in on this? Maybe it's something that they don't want.
Well, if they wouldn't take the money to do the project.
yeah, no, that's a good point though, Joanne. We can't really speak for that or them. We could certainly, put it as a recommendation. I mean, I'm sure that they can find a way to make it work. Whether it's one day or, every day.
I think you should make it as a condition and not just a recommendation.
Yeah.
That may even discourage them from seeking CPC funds.
See, I don't think it should be a.
No, I don't want to get into anything, but I just want to say that, my perspective, being in the parks, I think it's best that it would say, because the stipulation, and I'm saying this because the stipulation of CPC says it's a public funds. I really strongly believe that the vote has to have it in it. And I'm not gonna go into, reasons, but let's just say I work with a park with the school, so I feel like it'd be best, and we use
Okay,
their
so I think
gyms.
I'm hearing that we are seeking this condition, the funding contingent upon the school finding a way by which non-students could take advantage of
It's a
the field.
protection
I
for
don't
the
think it
school
should be.
too, because they're taking funds that need to be public use, in my
Okay,
opinion.
so we're hearing mixed then.
I'm not in favor of that. I've never known a school not to let you use their property if there's nothing scheduled on it.
Well, things have gotten a lot tighter at schools lately.
But
I
they also,
agree with Dennis. I absolutely agree, with all the problem there's been with school shootings and people being checked out before they have to go into the building, things like that. I think we need to talk to the school first and find out if this is something they want to allow.
And it won't make.
Safety reasons alone. They could be held liable. It's on school grounds. Somebody got hurt. I really think we need their input before moving this forward.
well, at town meeting, we can get their input. And
That's a good-
asking that question at town meeting, then the people at town meeting can then decide whether they like the answer and whether they're gonna approve that money. I mean,
But I
that's,
see that as wasting time at town meeting, and hence another reason why people don't want to go to town meeting. We do have some
That's
time.
exactly what we do at town meeting. That's better than a lot of other stuff.
Okay, all right, so, and just remember that we are not, you're not, we need to draft the article as it will be stated in red. It's not to be amended on the floor.
Can be amended on the floor.
Can we give? When do we have to have this article in?
Have to decide tonight.
You have to decide tonight.
It has to be decided.
Yeah, because your next meeting.
I was gonna suggest that maybe.
I said, I just want to
after-
make sure that just because the way the funding is for CPC and how public it has to be, so.
So your next meeting's March 13th, and I believe John and I have to draft articles by the end of the month.
Yeah, so I think we could come up with language that would say, provide the school makes available within their restrictions for public access.
they have,
as
like-
allowed.
Oh, I forgot. They have we know, because we do it for the gym. They have a booking system too, FMX, that you can book. So if they put it in that system, the public can go in, they do it,
Do
and
they
they
have
can
church
deny
there?
it. I forgot about that, yeah. So, I
So
mean,
have it open for walking for elderly and, I mean,
yeah, they usually, yeah,
Maybe
What
it
makes
is
Yeah, wait.
available
more
to
of
the
an issue
public.
is,
through the system, but I don't think having that written wordage in the vote is gonna be an issue.
or put the wording in there. Vote for that. That the fields be open to the public when not in scheduled use.
When available.
Yeah,
Yeah,
within-
when available,
within-
whatever you're.
Well, we don't,
suggesting.
we don't want somebody else.
School has to have.
It's only scheduled 20% of the time. It's not gonna be available 80% of the time. So within, school, rules.
Off hours.
Yeah, certainly has to be off school hours
Off
and it can't be
school.
at night. So it's really gonna, because I don't think.
There's no lights in the project, no.
Can we empower the writer of this article to write the article after discussion with the whoever we need, the superintendent or the principal, on what an acceptable wording would be? So that we would say, all right, we're in favor of the article. We'd like some acceptable wording, would like their input, so we're going to empower whoever's writing this article to have a discussion and come up with acceptable language. I mean, I don't know if that's just too weird. to put it-
I think that, I agree. I think that's a good idea.
Writes
really
our
do.
art. You.
Who writes the article?
Jonathan. Seems like,
And then they go to
I
legal.
think we can trust them.
they go to legal, yeah.
Right, and they are, so they are gonna go through legal.
All right, so we're gonna make a motion on this.
Okay, so a motion's been made, and let's rephrase it, for 131,000 in the undesignated reserve to be awarded to the Narragansett Regional School District for the development of a girls softball field and related field activity, practice fields at Narragansett Regional High School, with the expectation that the school will provide public access under, upon agreement of their legal requirements as dictated through discussion with the chair.
Change the word expected to understanding that it will be.
Understanding. Yes,
So moved.
okay, we have a
Said.
motion made and seconded. Any other discussion?
No.
So basically what we're talking about is 131,000, and then we're gonna work out the language so that we can have an article that will say, that will define how the public accesses this, outside of school. That's everybody's understanding.
Yes.
Okay, so then we're gonna, if any other discussion or questions? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote, starting with Dennis.
Yes.
Yes,
George?
Yes.
Yes, Mike?
Yes.
Yes.
Here, Candace?
Yes.
And Joanne?
Yes.
Okay, unanimous. All right, I will get with Mr. Casavant and ask him what they need to do. If the school committee needs to do it, or they're legal or whatever, who knows? And then we'll report back. And we have a little bit of time before we actually formally submit to select, but I don't know what meeting they're voting them on. But we'll let everybody see the draft.
Okay.
And we can call an emergency meeting if we have to,
Alright.
if somebody doesn't like it. Or a quorum doesn't. Okay, so those are the articles that we needed to discuss for tonight. Now I've already lost track of my agenda. Do we have anything else to do?
Essential project.
Well, we've talked about quite a few. And we do need, this is really a heavy recreation thing. We really need to be thinking, we had our needs analysis meeting, and I think everybody knows that, we've got these other opportunities. Jessica and I visited the Ballfield Memorial Congregational Church. They have some interest in protecting their building from, exterior decline. So they might be coming forward in the future. That would be historic preservation.
Where's that church?
It's right downtown.
in
It's a
center.
historic building. It's a beautiful,
Historic district.
in the historic district right next.
Is
to
that the one across from the center?
Yeah. right
Oh,
on-
I didn't know that was an open church. I
Oh, yeah.
hadn't seen anything advertised for them. I didn't realize that was a functioning church.
And there's always potential that there could be opportunities to protect more open space, or other activities. So there's always more to talk about in the future. So. That being said, I believe now we're at the point where we have everybody, has a chance to make any comments or anything that they wish to share.
I did want to bring up that I had met a community member who was interested in putting together some raised beds to have a community garden. So we've had 2 meetings, and we're leaning towards, although we haven't really talked with the selectmen yet, we're leaning towards a kind of a voluntary project, potentially at the library or potentially to be determined. But to make it more of a family type of project, well, where we'll do, entertainment, or where we'll have, lessons on how to garden and really try to emphasize, we did meet with the Agriculture Commission on last Monday and, kind of discuss what our ideas and thoughts and dreams were. And, so the Agriculture Commission is certainly on board with supporting, whatever we need. We had originally thought perhaps we would have come in with a project, would have been small money, 5,000 to 7,000. But then we realized that by the time, even if the town approved that, by the time we would get that money, we would miss this season. So we're gonna go probably another route and work on it. So just something that, we hope to do this spring and summer.
I think it's
That's
good.
wonderful.
That's great. Yeah, because for come fall town meeting, if you have something in place for the following year to build on that, then there's
Yeah.
opportunity.
Yeah, that's what we were thinking.
Or having a second location.
I mean, we kind of bantered around expanding the senior, but thought that because we were wanting to gear this to a lot of children, that maybe the senior center might not be our best place to do this, and maybe we could just support the existing beds that are there and maybe get those going. Our second location, we haven't really nailed down. We thought, oh, maybe the backyard here, but
Town hall. That would be lovely because that's the space that we're just cutting the grass. We don't really have a lot.
yeah, I don't know about the sun exposure, but
Yeah.
because there's a lot of trees. But anyway, we're still in a very small part of this moving forward.
Great. Any other comments or concerns? I
I have,
Joanne.
yes. We received a letter from the Division of Ecological Restoration, and we regret to inform you that the town of Templeton has not been selected to receive dam removal preliminary design services for the Otter River Pool. So unfortunately, again, funding is just for this through the state is very difficult. And as you know, they're going after the high hazard dams, and well, they should. So it's not looking good for the Otter River Pool. And
Okay, well,
go ahead, John.
I was just gonna say that we could try to look at that as a potential project for an open space, town only project. We've been trying to get state money
Right.
and we're on the bottom of the list and not
Right.
getting higher. So that's another future potential.
Joanne does have the quote from Diane
I do.
Bond.
How
She
much
knows
is it?
it's gonna cost.
It's almost $250,000. That's just for the engineering and permitting alone.
Okay.
That's not even to take it down.
How about just some dynamite?
No.
Well-
And that's, I would hate to even expend money, like, the first phase would be data collection and site assignment. And that's 59,000, but I would hate to expend that money if we're not gonna be able to do the whole project.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you for all your work on that. Maybe somebody will hit
It's
the
just so
lottery,
sad. Yes, that's somebody who liked the lottery and donated.
but we'll, okay, thank you. And, anything else?
I'll make a motion that we go home and have
Your
supper.
next meeting is March 13th at 7 PM.
I
Okay.
second it.
Motion made second, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?